Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. I want to take you into a subject that's very close to my heart. What does it mean to create a timeless landscape? You know, in a world obsessed with trends, especially in design, it's easy to get swept away by what's new, what's in, but over the years, I have found myself drawn to something deeper, something quieter, and that kind of spaces that don't just look beautiful today, but feel meaningful 10, 20, even 50 years down the line. So, what really makes a landscape timeless? To me, timeless landscapes are like the best kind of friendships, honest, rooted, and able to grow with time. They don't depend on flashy features. Instead, they're built on a few simple, solid foundations, like your natural materials that weather gracefully. For example, your stone, wood, soil, and your native plants that thrive in local conditions that tell stories of the land. And above all, design that connects emotionally, which connects spaces that make you feel something even if you can't put it into words. In India, we don't separate nature from culture. They've always been intertwined. Think about the banyan tree in a village center or a tulsi plant in a courtyard. These aren't just plants, they are symbols, stories, memories, and then there's geography. Designing in Karnataka is different from designing in Rajasthan or Kerala. Each land speaks its own language. You have to respect the sunlight, the soil, the seasons, and that's when a landscape becomes timeless. Not because it resists change, but because it belongs completely to its place. Speaking of belonging, let me tell you a story. You know, there are some phone calls in life that just make you stop and sit up. And for me, this was one of them. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon. I was reviewing site photos, making calls, sorting plant selections from the nursery, a usual day at Ecoscapes, when my phone rang. The caller ID said Government of Karnataka. I picked up the call, assuming it was some sort of civic landscape inquiry. But the voice on the other end said, "Sir, we are calling from Office of the Director General of Police. The DGP ma'am would like to schedule a meeting with you." I actually paused. Wait, the DGP, as in Neelamani Raju ma'am? "Yes, sir," they replied calmly. "She is personally interested in discussing a landscaping project." I hung up the phone, stunned. I mean, here I was, a landscape guy, being called to meet the highest ranking police officer in the state. So we fixed the appointment. I still remember the date and time. It was on Wednesday, 11:30 a.m. at the DGP headquarters. And let me tell you, the moment I arrived, I realized this was not your usual client meeting. There were 4 levels of security I had to cross. Your first checkpoint, they check your ID. Second, you escort into the building. Third, clearance and baggage scan. And fourth, final security gate right behind the main cabin. It felt like I was entering a high security zone, which technically was. And with each gate, the nervousness started building up. I kept thinking, what does the DGP want to discuss? What if I say something wrong? I was very confused, nervous, but also curious how this will end up. Finally, the door opened. The door opened to her office, and there she was, DGP of Karnataka, Neelamani Raju ma'am. Poised, powerful, yet the moment she stood up and smiled and said, "Welcome, Suraj," something in me just relaxed. The anxiety faded because as we sat down and started discussing the project, I saw something unexpected. A deep, genuine love for plants in her eyes. She wasn't talking like a top DGP officer of state. She was talking like a gardener. She spoke about species she loved, how she would grown up surrounded by greenery, and how she wanted the space, a government campus, if I remember right, to be a sanctuary, not just another patch of grass and hedges. It wasn't just a project for her, it was a personal pet project. I still remember her saying, "Suraj, when people walk into the spaces, I want them to feel calm. We deal with a lot of unrest here, but I believe green spaces can bring peace. And I nodded. Because in that moment, I wasn't speaking to the DGP. I was speaking to a fellow believer, someone who knew that plants aren't just a decoration, they are healers. This is the garden I designed, which is close to the Hudson Circle. It's called the Police Memorial Park. If you are passing by anywhere near the Reserve Bank of India close to Hudson Circle, you can find this place. From day one, I knew this park had to be timeless. Not trendy, not decorative, but deeply meaningful. We used local stones, weathering steel, and designed the layout to feel meditative and respectful. The plants were all chosen to reflect resilience and dignity, qualities that mirror the spirit of those we were honoring. We didn't try to overpower the space, we let time be a collaborator. We designed it to age well, to deepen in beauty over the years. And on the day of the park's inauguration, I was felicitated by Dr. Paramesh, the then Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka. Standing there with the police officers, with senior officials, with the DGP who believed in me, it was one of the proudest moments of my career. 7 years have passed, and every time I drive past the memorial park, it brings a quiet joy to my heart. The plants have grown beautifully, some flowering, some shading the walkways. They have settled in, like they were always meant to be there. The stepping stones, once sharp and new, are now softened by age. The moss, the gentle wear of foot traffic, the weather, it's made them rustic and soulful. They don't look old, they look wise. And if you ask me, can a landscape evolve and still be timeless? Yes, in fact, it must evolve. That's the beauty of landscape. It's alive. A tree will grow, a creeper will stretch, seasons will paint the garden in different colors. But if the design is rooted in honesty and place, it doesn't matter how it changes. It will always feel true. It's tempting to follow trends. Clients ask for vertical gardens, neon-lit pathways, artificial turf. But I always pause and ask, will this still feel beautiful 10 years from now? Sometimes we do integrate modern ideas, but never at the cost of the land's dignity. A timeless design is one that doesn't try to be noticed. It simply feels right. Over the last 16 years, I have learned to lean on materials that mature well. Like your cotton steel, it rusts but with elegance. It tells a story of time. And you have your granite and natural stones, very strong, grounding, and they give a sense of being humble. And then you have your native species like the ficus, neem, jasmine, bamboo. They're not just survivors, they are storytellers. These are the ingredients that make a landscape age gracefully, like a beautiful old home. And if I have to sum up, a timeless landscape is one that grows older but never outdated. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't fade, it evolves. The Police Memorial Park will always remind me of that, not just because of the trees or stones, but because of the intention behind it. The belief of the DGP, the honor from the Deputy Chief Minister, and the way that space, even today, makes people pause, reflect, and feel. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Next time you're in a garden or even walking down a shaded street, look a little closer. Ask yourself, will this space still feel beautiful when time has passed? Because when we build with intention, when we root design in emotion, in nature, in culture, we don't just create landscapes, we create legacy. This is Ecoscapes with Suraj Nayak. I'll see you in the next episode of this podcast. Thank you for tuning in.